it was easy to come out as trans. It was harder to come out as a Republican, okay?
Caitlyn Jenner speaking a little bit earlier here in Cleveland. We're heading into the third night of the Republican National Convention. Donald Trump touched down just a short while ago with great fanfare. And joining me now for a look inside the Trump campaign and the convention, our Trump supporter, Ashley Bell. He's a delegate, and MSNBC and NBC News contributor Charlie Sykes is with us as well. Nice to have both of you with us. Thanks for being here. Ashley, let me start with you. I want to play a little bit of sound from last night from Chris Christie when he was really going after Hillary Clinton. Take a listen.
All right, we're getting there. Give me a few more minutes, we'll get there.
So that was lock her up if you can't make out the chant. And then he said, we're getting there. Are you concerned at all about the tone of the convention, or is that exactly the kind of red meat that you need to get those undecided voters over to Trump?
First 2 days of the convention are dedicated to unifying the party, and there's only one glue thick enough to put us all together, and that's the Hillary Clinton glue. So he was feeding to the base. A lot of people were excited to see Chris Christie in that role.
What did you think? Were you cheering along with them or not?
I wasn't. You know, I just don't think, I know how conventions work. They're supposed to be able to reach out and expand. That rhetoric was good for the base, but I felt like we got to turn and pivot sooner rather than later to the general election.
Does that pivot happen tonight, Charlie, with Governor Mike Pence giving his big, it's his big moment, his big address?
Well, I mean, how many times have we waited for the pivot, in this campaign, the Donald Trump pivot? I don't know. I think what's going to be interesting is that probably tomorrow we're not even going to be talking about Pence. Because Pence is such a kind of a colorless guy. He's kind of a placeholder there.
But his views are more in line with your own, aren't they?
Very much so.
More than Donald Trump's.
Yeah, exactly. But I think what we're going to be talking about is what does Ted Cruz say and what does he not say? But Ashley's right, though, about what that was all about. Because, you have a lot of delegates there who are trying to figure out how much of Donald Trump, how much do they have to swallow? How much do they have to compromise? How much do they have to ignore? And so when you have a moment like that, that is the one thing that will unite them is the Hillary Clinton stuff. Although the lock them up stuff, that was definitely not for the undecided voter. That was red meat for the base. And you would have thought that they already had the base locked down.
And for the never Trump people who are never going to support Donald Trump, and there's nothing you can do about it, the 2020 primary starts when Pence gives his speech. Cruz is coming in today. He had all the same paraphernalia he had when he was running for president. Pence's speech today is going to set the table. For those who don't think Donald Trump can win, 2020 starts tonight.
I was going to say 2020 assumes that Donald Trump doesn't win this election. Actually, can I ask you about a headline in the New York Times today? There are, by our count, roughly around 80 delegates who are African-American delegates here at the RNC. Headline in the New York Times front page this morning says that the speeches so far alienate black members of the GOP. Do you agree?
Well, we would like the convention to talk about more issues. Well, the reason we became Republicans.
You weren't always a Republican.
No, I was a Democrat. And I can tell you, we came to the Republican Party because it was a party of free markets and free people. Donald Trump's rhetoric on the markets, the free markets, has not been that great. The convention really hadn't touched on the economic issues that brought us to the party as much. We hope we hear more of that. But as far as only 80 black delegates, there's a reason for that. The Democratic Party mandates how many black delegates they have. I had to run. It was a free-for-all. And that's why the Republican Party is a little harder to become a delegate.
And Charlie, you mentioned Ted Cruz, and we just saw him practicing with his wife up, or taking a little bit of a mic check up on the stage. So let me look forward to tomorrow morning. What do you think you're going to be talking about? Will he or won't he endorse, and does it matter?
Yeah, well, it matters a little bit. But I wonder whether or not it's going to be like the Ronald Reagan speech in the 1976 convention. He loses the nomination, but he gives such a speech that the delegates are going, oh, wow, what we could have had. Wouldn't this have been fantastic? And you might have a little bit of buyer's remorse. And that's got to be in the back of Ted Cruz's head.
As he's thinking about what to say tonight, potentially. All right, Charlie, Ashley, great to see you. Thanks so much to both of you. We'll be back live.